You break, American.
Victor Reznov.
My friend.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Outside, the series, of course, where we're going outside maps and missions such as Vorkuta, which we're going to do today. I'm using plutonium. It allows me to do things such as no clip like I am right now, and we get to see a headless Mason laying on the ground, waiting to get up and beat this guard with a rock. So if I go ahead and turn off no clip real quick, let's go ahead and do that. Right to the kisser. So here in Spawn, or if you could call it Spawn, I suppose, there is a few things to do immediately. So there is a bunch of tunnels, of course, and some of them, like here on the ground level, you can just walk right on through. There is like these doors at the end of it. Go ahead and use no clip, of course. We can see that these don't really go anywhere. Some like rocks and stuff at the end of it, but that is about it. And this one over here, we can see same kind of deal, right? But if instead we go up to the top level here, we can see that there's tunnels like this one as well, but instead of going nowhere, it actually leads to the map. So right now, I'm actually in front of where Reznov is. He's way down there, and if we look to my right, this tunnel goes all the way to the elevator that we take up to the surface. But this is not the only tunnel that goes somewhere. There's also this one right here. As we can see, we got a AI guy that just ran down here and gets a little bit confused. And something kind of interesting about the AI themselves, that seems like they all just run to this like random location here in this tunnel, and whenever I get some kind of object between me and them that obstructs my vision of them, such as this wall here, you can see that they all just start to despawn. So they spawn somewhere way over there, and actually we even saw one spawn right there down below us. But anyway, yeah, the tunnel, I was going to go down it and show you that it does indeed lead back towards the map, and as you can see, towards where some of these prisoners were actually running to. And it seems like they actually run the opposite direction through this tunnel and end up in the same area. Alright, but we should probably continue the mission now. And if I go ahead and just leave Reznov back there, I don't trigger the checkpoint. Sergey, the big old guy that does a whole lot of stuff for you in this mission, it doesn't seem like he spawns in, and I actually am stuck here. There's a barrier right here that doesn't allow me to continue. If I go on down here, trigger Reznov, which I think I actually have to do by walking this way. There we go. Hit the trigger. And I believe that will also spawn Sergey and allow us to continue forward.
Allow me to introduce Sergei Kosi, the monster of Megadon.
Wait, he didn't spawn. That might be an issue. I think I broke the mission. The barrier is still here too. So yeah, I definitely 100% just soft-locked myself. So let's go ahead and fix that. Alrighty, I have restarted the mission, and good old Sergey is here this time. He's a very impressive human being, I have to say. Oh my god. Really hope he doesn't die later. Now, I don't think there's much else that's all that interesting in this area, but if we go ahead and go on up here, we can see this whole area before any of it starts kicking off, before any of the guns start going off, and any of those guys start spawning in to come and try and take us down. Which I think this is probably the most notable part about this area, is that the machine gun that's shooting at you the whole time while you're following that train car down there is actually an M249 saw, which is not period correct whatsoever. As far as I can tell, there is no way for me to interact with the saw. I can't mount it or anything like that and shoot down on it. This platform right here actually has no collision at all. The only collision in this tower is actually right here, even though there is no texture for the floor below me. There is collision here, and there's collision with the walls as well, but there's no collision with this like walkway here. You just fall right on through it. And here is just a quick overlook of the area, what it looks like before the shooting starts, but let's go ahead and go on down, trigger the checkpoint. Although something I just noticed on the way down there is right here on the floor, the Makarov pistols are actually still scattered about before those guards even spawn in, before you take them out. Well, before Sergey takes them out, which we'll see here in just a second. But yeah, there is plenty of them here just scattered on the ground, and I'm assuming that is so that the game makes sure that the player has a gun to pick up, instead of relying on the actual animation of Sergey killing the guard and the guard dropping a gun. They're just all scattered about here, waiting for you to get them. Got my gun a little bit early here, but alright, let's go ahead and hop on into the elevator.
You sure can trust us, America?
Yeah, why not?
with my life. He and us are not so different. We are all soldiers without an army, betrayed, forgotten, abandoned. In Vorkuta, we are all brothers.
And there's the guy with the Makarov, of course. So that guy spawned in, as well as a bunch of other prisoners, it seems like. And now Sergey, well, he's gonna get the job done real quick, ain't he? Double tap.
Reznov, your men must know this is suicide.
Victory cannot be achieved without sacrifice, Mason.
Oh, well, if that's the case, I'm gonna go ahead and step to the side.
Prepare yourself, men.
Okay, so if I go ahead and initiate no clip again, and we go on up into the air, we can start to see something interesting about this MG, and that is that the guy here isn't actually shooting it. The MG is shooting itself, and the bullets are heat-seeking. No matter where I go, even if it's like completely behind the MG, way over here, inside the tower, if I turn off no clip, you'll see, well, okay, it's extremely disorientating. But yeah, the MG was constantly shooting me the whole time, no matter what. This saw, its bullets are just completely heat-seeking and will always hit me. It's kind of hard to distinguish them between these guys shooting their AKs and the actual gun itself, but you can kind of see that that's what's happening. No matter where I'm going, those bullets are following me. And when the place blows up, that MG completely disappears. No more saw, no clue where it goes, but some of the guns, it seems, actually do drop to the ground here. And there's like some AKs sitting back outside the map that you can't get to yet, because I guess you're not supposed to have an AK yet at this point in the mission. And it should probably also be noted that obviously the rest of this area out here is still mission area, right? If I go towards this, it'll hop on in, it'll get called in, and we can see that this whole area does still exist here. Then we turn around, we'll see that whole area is not loaded in. Of course, this is to save on resources, so it only loads in the part of the map that is relevant to you at the time. I can't load in all of it at once because this game was made for Xbox 360. And a lot of you guys have been really kind in the comment section trying to suggest different commands to use. I have tried all of them here in Plutonium, and no matter what I do, it doesn't seem like any of them actually work. None of them seem to keep areas like this loaded in at the same time. Unfortunately, it seems like there's some kind of trigger that just always gets activated, and no matter what you do, you can't get that to load. It's also kind of interesting to note that me just being on the ground here does not trigger the checkpoint. Instead, I actually have to go right behind where the train was before, and then now Reznov and all the prisoners will start running towards the gate. Before we leave this area, oh my god, I didn't expect that to happen. Before we leave this area though, I do want to just check out some of these buildings. Of course, there's not going to be any modeling really in any of these, but just to see what these areas look like. Some of them have literally no textures, while other ones do have some textures, like this right here, even though you can't really see this building at all, actually. Yeah, on this side, where like some of these windows are open and stuff, even though you can't get into this building, there is actually some space in here, and a little bit of modeling, although, I mean, not very much at all. And then there's other buildings like this one that, although some of these windows look like you could kind of see inside, turns out you're really not looking at anything at all. There is nothing inside this building whatsoever. And as for this little area beyond the tower, there isn't really too much interesting going on here, so let's go ahead and continue and trigger the next checkpoint.
Sergey! Break open the arms lockers!
Alright, so let's go ahead and use a little bit of no clip again. See what's going on inside of this arm locker? Just to be inside of it, why not? This is what it looks like before it's open. There is the shotguns just chilling about. Some on the floor, some in places, but there's a whole bunch of barriers in here. Like, I can't actually really do much in here other than just, you know, just stand here. And if we go ahead and go on up to the roof of the building, of course, this is the part of the mission where we have to shoot a slingshot, right? But if I pass that trigger that's on the staircase, the slingshot itself is still just chilling here on the ground. These guys don't pick it up yet. But if I back myself down, we can see the instantaneous picking up of that slingshot, which is kind of funny to see. And I can go on up to it and, of course, start the well, maybe not. So it actually looks like there is a second trigger somewhere in this staircase, probably earlier on. So let's just go ahead, go on down through this building. I'm not sure where it is, but we're just going to go ahead and walk all the way down and then come all the way back up, and let's see, does it allow me to do it now? Uh-oh, I think we broke the game, guys. That's not a good situation. All right, I've restarted the mission, so hopefully this should be fine now. If I go ahead and go on up through here, everything should be all right. Yes, okay, cool. And now it's time to start shooting slingshots. So, of course, what you're supposed to do at this part of the mission is use the slingshot to shoot the 3 targets just like, well, I guess not just like that, because I missed completely. Yeah, more like that right there. That's what you're supposed to do. And you can shoot all 3 of them, but I have the ability to use a little bit of no-clip. Let's go ahead and do that. Use our no-clip and hop on down here and just take a look at what's going on. So all 3 of the targets are literally just a couple guys chilling at a place with their AKs, shooting at the prisoners down below. And what's interesting about these prisoners, some of them are normal prisoners, like the ones that we've seen already, where when you go up to them, they actually have a name, like prisoner E1521 here. Of course, they're all super low poly models, as you can see by these guys looking quite a bit strange. But there are even lower poly models, like these ones right here, that are forced to just face the direction of the player no matter what, which creates some pretty weird situations when I just constantly go in circles here. And also something kind of cool, as you can see, it's hold S to ready the sling and release to fire. I can actually do that from all the way over here. If I just hold S and then I let go, we can see that it shoots, although I didn't really make it very far, did it? But if I get this at the right angle, like this right here, perhaps, there we go. We hit it. Beautiful. And also, this is what you look like shooting that slingshot. As you can see, all you are is a set of arms. And other than that, your entire body isn't even loaded in. Normally, of course, in first-person shooters, your head doesn't exist. You just have a body. But here in this situation, all you have is arms. Which I suppose does make complete sense, since literally all you see is like your forearm during this part of the mission. Let's go ahead and hit our last target. Boom! And now it is time to move on from this area. Although, before we do, let's just take a look at some of the artwork out here. Of course, there is not a ton going on. There's not going to be anything really in most of these buildings, but as we can see, some of them are even textured, but of course, with no modeling whatsoever. And here on the outskirts, we even have a massive excavator, which seems to be the exact same model in the Zombies map Moon. We can also take a look at some of these spawn locations where the guys came from, such as this one right here, which obviously does not lead anywhere. Although there is this one up here that looks a little bit cooler. I mean, there's a little bit more going on with it. And if I go ahead and take off no clip, we can see this whole area does have collision, which, I mean, is always a nice touch. And lastly, I don't think I've ever noticed this before, but there's actually some train cars up here that have a whole bunch of coals in them. And they got a kind of cool glowing texture to them, so I just thought I'd point that out. I don't think you ever really get to see this otherwise. And as far as the surrounding area here, none of it has collision, but it seems to be a bunch of snow-covered hills, which kind of do look pretty cool, actually, up close. As you can see, they're just layered on top of each other with a whole bunch of space in between to give this illusion, well, I guess not really an illusion, but to give it some depth here while you're looking at it from all the way back there on top of that rooftop. All right, we're back here on the rooftop, and it's time to go downstairs. But before we do, I'm going to take a sip of the coffee, because, of course, I have my coffee with me here this morning. I hope wherever you are, whatever time you're watching this, you're enjoying yourself, because man, oh man, do I love myself some Black Ops 1 campaign, man. This is, I think, by far my favorite campaign in the Call of Duty series, with, I think, Modern Warfare 2 in a very, very close second. It's really hard to decide, but I absolutely love this campaign, and I hope you guys do too. It's super interesting to see how some of this stuff ended up working, so let's go ahead, grab ourselves this shotgun, and continue onward. And while you're at it, you might as well leave a like on the video down below. It helps me out so much, and of course, make sure you're subscribed so you don't end up like this guy. That would be a shame, wouldn't it? All right, let's shoot the lock. There we go. And continue this way. So we're on step 5 here. It is now time for us to skewer the winged beast. But before we do, I'm going to go ahead and just no-clip on up to it. Let's just take a look at what's going on with the actual helicopter itself. As we can see, there is a pilot in it. Yeah, there he is. It's really hard to follow him in this version of NoClip, but we can just, take a look at him. And as far as inside the helicopter, well, there's one guy who is supposed to be the gunner here. He has his hands, like, sticking out the window. Even though, of course, these windows are not transparent, so there's not really a need for him to be there. But as you can see, the machine gun itself is actually two M60s just, like, stuck together and, like, on, like, a side pole here on the helicopter. Which, of course, makes no sense whatsoever, considering this is a Russian helicopter, and those are most definitely American machine guns. Guess that's not the first machine gun problem that we've had on this mission, though, is it? And before we grab the crossbow and shoot the helicopter, I actually kind of want to just go inside this building here. Of course, this is the building with the armory in it, and if we go on up into the armory itself, we can go ahead, disable NoClip, and walk on up and grab ourselves the death machine. Of course, we're not supposed to be in here yet, but might as well grab it early, right? But anyway, let's go ahead and NoClip on back out of the armory, and we can go ahead and continue on with the mission. Which, as you can see, if I do not trigger the checkpoint, there is no guy up here with a crossbow, so we're actually at like a soft lock situation. I can't do anything. Me shooting this guy with my minigun does absolutely nothing. But, of course, I suppose it's not actually a soft lock, because I can just do what I just did right there, and it'll instantly give me the harpoon because I was here already, which is kind of a weird situation. But it gets me in this place where Reznov is now in my way, and I can't actually get back out onto the rooftop. This is normally to keep you stuck on that rooftop, so you can't come on into here, start going down there, and see weird things like these guys running at a wall. But right now, it's currently getting me stuck from going to the place I'm supposed to be. But I think if I go on down here, let's just go ahead and try this out. Haven't done this yet. If I go out this door... Wait, did it just fail? I'm just gonna wait for it to stop shooting me, and then bang. We got it? I think we got it. We definitely did. Very good. I gotta say, the explosion effects and destruction in Black Ops 1 was honestly pretty good for the time. Like, that didn't look absolutely terrible. Now, as far as this area is concerned, there isn't a whole lot that's interesting to look at. There isn't really anything going on in most of these buildings or anything like that, but I think one thing to note is this looks a whole lot like an asset that was used in multiplayer. I'm not entirely sure sitting here right now, but here's a screenshot of it so you can take a look for comparison. Alright, let's go on into the building here. Of course, we got a bunch of AKs scattered along the ground, but we don't need that, right? We already have the death machine. We might as well use it, and I guess just shoot a bunch of dudes. I actually forgot they had these, like, riot shield things. A very weird version of the riot shield, at least. I got a feeling all of this mission is going to be very easy when you have a freaking minigun, man. Oh, and here's Sergey. We're going to go ahead and slide on past him. Oh, yeah, they definitely killed Sergey, didn't they? But let's go ahead, stumble on in here, open the door, so we can trigger our next checkpoint here. Man, there is so many guys in here. Holy crap. So there's this weird part right here where a bunch of guys seem to, like, spawn out of nowhere, and they start trying to breach the door here. But as we can see, they all just spawn right there in that corner, and then they actually despawn right there, and then new guys spawn back in that actually attack you, which is kind of strange. It's not at all what I thought the situation was going to be. If I go ahead and exit NoClip, it should be no problem dealing with them, considering I am both in God mode and have an infinite death machine. But Reznov has his pack of, I don't know, like acetylene or something, and now we are ready to go ahead and open that vault door to the armory. So let's go ahead and get to there. Oh my god, I just totally shot the hell out of those guys. If I remember correctly, playing this mission, this part of the mission specifically on Veteran, was very hard. I think I stood like somewhere like right here, and like you had to like kill these guys before they'd shoot you with a shotgun, because I think you were one hit by their shotguns, these armored guys. And man, is it a huge difference having a minigun. Oh, I just noticed this minigun does have a cooldown, though, actually. I kind of forgot about that, because I'm used to the death machine not having one, right? And like zombies and stuff like that. Oh, and it instantly gave me the checkpoint for grabbing the minigun. Good thing that didn't softlock me again, huh? Alright, now we got this area to deal with, but I think before we go further that way, I just kind of want to take a quick sweep through the building. Let me just see if there's anything interesting to show you guys first. Well, I suppose this is pretty cool. So this is the hallway right before where Sergey, unfortunately, meets his demise. And you can see there's a whole bunch of these doors in it. And if we go into the doors, we can see there is actually little rooms behind them. Although, of course, there is no modeling, but it's kind of cool that they exist because I don't think there's any reason for them to. And on the other side, we can see this is the case here as well. There's a bunch of space in here. And if I go ahead and turn off no clip, we can see that there's even collision. I'm guessing this space was going to be used for guys to spawn in, although I'm pretty sure it's not. In the mission, I think the guys just already spawn in that hallway where you normally shoot them at, right around here. Oh, more intel. Let me go ahead and just snag that real quick if I can. Sick. But yeah, other than that, I don't think there's anything too interesting going on inside this building. There's nothing like underneath the map, really, for the most part, or anything like that. So I think let's just go ahead and continue onward and start shooting some of these guys. So something interesting to note right here after we jump down, this is the model used for the truck that you use in the getaway scene later on in the mission here, which we'll see very shortly here, actually. Obviously, it's not the exact one, considering you can blow it up. But I just thought it was cool to point out, because I think that's the first time you see it. There's actually a couple of them here. And as we continue on through here, of course, there is a ton of guys to shoot at. And a lot of them are, like, up in these areas, like in here, that you can't normally get to. And as you can see, the area that they're in, well, I mean, there's not a ton of space here, but there is a little bit of area with collision, and it adds some depth, I suppose, to the mission as well, having them shoot out of windows at you. Instead of just being scattered along the ground, it makes you shoot up and all around you. Over here, we can see it's kind of the same situation. This guy is actually stuck behind a bar here, which doesn't really make any sense what's going on with this doorway. But we also have this area over here with these guys, which seem to already be dead. And also up here as well. Although I think that guy literally just, like, died on script, didn't he? Now, of course, the shooting has stopped. Here is a nice little look at this area from above. I really love this scene in the mission. I mean, it was super epic the first time playing it. Getting a death machine and just going to town on a whole bunch of AI. But right now the game is waiting for me to walk through a trigger right there and start the scene where I get tear gassed. But before I do, I just wanted to show you guys the location where I'm going to get teleported to. If I go ahead and go into this garage, we can see the two bikes just sitting right here waiting for that ending cutscene where we're going to hop on them and drive them right on out of this building. But without further ado, let's go ahead and turn off no clip, shoot these reinforcements that are coming on by. It spawns in actually a ton of them, doesn't it? And as we continue down this pathway, yeah, that's real unfortunate for Mason, isn't it? Somehow Reznov is just completely immune to tear gas, though. So Reznov somehow pulls me all the way to this garage. And of course, the reason we don't have much time, supposedly, is that there is some Russians at the other side of this door waiting to get in. But of course, as you can see, there is absolutely nothing going on outside here. But let's go ahead and turn off our no clip and hop on our bike if we can. There we go. Get on our bike. And now, of course, we're able to drive on out. But what's pretty cool about this is if I hop on it while I'm in no clip, I can actually bring the bike with me places. And I can go out here, for instance, back into the area that we were before in the map, and I can drive the bike through this area that we killed all those Russians in, which is just super freaking cool, man. You can't get too far, however, of course. As you can see, it'll end up saying that I failed to keep up with Reznov. And you might be wondering, what is Reznov doing that whole time while he's waiting for me to catch up to him? Well, if I go on up here and then use no clip, we can go ahead and fly through the sky and take a look at him, although it's kind of hard to see. As you can see, he's basically moving at like 5 miles per hour down this road, which is not normal for him at all.
Come on, Mason! Faster! Faster! That is the train! Hurry, Mason!
And there's the train that we're going to escape on. We see it for the first time. It seems like it actually gets spawned in way down there. And here's that truck I was talking about earlier. And now we're going to go ahead and hop on onto it. So while we're on this MG, I can also use a little bit of no-clip. And we're stuck, I think, to the radius of the MG, which is kind of strange. It seems like this no-clip that I'm using does not affect the camera movement. I'm still stuck at whatever the game has me at. But we do get to start getting a look at the area here. And way back there, we can see is where we started. It's really cool to just take a look at the artwork here. Take a look at these rolling hills here in Russia. Even though there's some guy with an RPG, it seems, that's still shooting at me. Look at that. Do these guys have infinite ammo? I'm guessing that they do. Wait, will they shoot me if I'm, like, right next to them? That worked. And as far as some of the other artwork out here, of course, we have, like, little shacks like this. There's not a ton going on with that. There is some trees scattered around and a couple other buildings like these ones over here. But as you can see, there isn't really much going on inside of them. There's not much to note about any of them, really. But kind of cool to get to see them up close and personal. And something else that's kind of interesting that I just noticed, when you get too far away from a helicopter, the only thing that's loaded out is the texture of it. It turns out that the helicopter itself is still there. As we can see, the propellers are there. And even these guys inside, the gunner and the pilot, are still just chilling there. And the animation is still going on, it's still moving on up and down, and we can still see those like particle effects of air going on around it. We can also take a look at where the train is stored. As you can see, it's just sitting right here under the map, all in one location. Every single piece of that train, the train car, the train engine, the caboose, all of it, it's all stacked together right here in this tunnel. Of course, it spawned way down those train tracks, and it seems like it followed us all the way to here, and currently is stopped. Which, of course, if I go ahead and turn off my no-clip, well, for one, it'll teleport me all the way back, and we get to see the area over here where the train will eventually come out at. And that area, well, it's right here. As we can see, there is a tunnel that leads to nowhere. In fact, there's even some rocks here blocking it, so you can't get a look at a view of the train spawning in when it does, which I think it's probably time for me to go ahead and, I guess, let me turn off. Can I kill myself somehow? How do I do this? Oh, there we go. Oh, that freed me. I just figured out how to fix my camera lock, which is kind of nice. I just did a slash kill, and it now I am completely free to go in all 360 degrees, which is quite nice. But we looked at most things here, although one thing that's interesting to note is where the truck actually ends up when you do not jump to the train. As you can see, he kind of just parks it here, and we got Reznov just chilling with his arm out the window, man. This guy kind of looks badass, actually. But using slash kill, it seems like that has completely soft-locked me. There is absolutely nothing I can do here. I'm just stuck shooting an invisible gun, as you can hear. And that is about it. Like, it won't even let me get out a no-clip now. It says I have to be alive to use this command. Alright, I have restarted the mission, gotten rid of that issue now, and we're gonna go ahead and ride with Reznov towards the end here, and there's a few more things I want to show you guys before we end off this video. Alright, here's the train. There it is, spawning on out of that tunnel. Let's go ahead and jump to it.
Go, Mason, go!
And before we trigger the checkpoint, let's no-clip.
Your turn! Come on! Step 8, Reznov! Freedom!
And if we do so, we can see where Reznov actually goes to. Way down here, and then stops. Reznov, of course, is still chilling right behind the wheel with his arm out the window, ready to head towards his death at this, what looks like a little roadblock with a couple of guys here holding AK-47s, waiting to take him out. I'm guessing these are the guys that actually kill Reznov, which you never get to see. Of course, it doesn't actually happen. It's not animated or anything like that, but we get to at least look at what his demise would have been and speculate a little bit of what that would have looked like. And the train? Well, just like before, all of the train cars all clip into each other and end up over here at the end of the tracks. And something that's kind of interesting about the train, too, if we go inside of it, we'll see that there's some kind of, like, reflection going on in the interior, which I'm assuming is some kind of dev trick. The reflection is the reflection of the map that we're playing on in Vorkuta, although obviously a very, like, bad-looking version of it. It's not exactly HD resolution, but kind of cool to see nonetheless. For instance, right here is the building that we end up blowing up and going on inside of, where, like, the armory is. And if we look towards this direction, we can see those big old towers that are filled with fuel that blow up and actually destroy the building. And Mason, well, here he is, just clinging to the side of the train, of course, without any head, and it seems like his feet, well, they're just kind of just dangling above the ground, which is a really sketchy situation to be on the side of the train, just hanging off like that. Of course, normally, when you jump on this train, you never get to see any of this.
Go, Mason, go!
Your turn! Come on! Step 8, Reznov! Freedom!
For you, Mason! Not for me!
Reznov!
And that, my friends, is Vorkuta. I had a ton of fun checking out this mission, and if you did as well, leave a like on the video. It helps me out a ton, and of course, make sure you're subscribed so you can come back for more. There are plenty of iconic campaign missions to check out in Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, as well as the Modern Warfare series, and I cannot wait to get to all of them. I think it's really cool to look at how some of these missions actually end up working with, like, the triggers, and how they get around some of the artwork issues and things like that. For, like, for instance, like that MG, that's an M249 saw. I mean, yeah, this is just pretty hilarious. So let me know down in the comments section what parts of this video that you enjoyed, so I know for the next campaign missions to check out, what things to zone in on for these campaign outside excursions. If you want to watch more of my content, you can click one of the videos on the screen right now, but if not, I'll catch you in the next one. Stay awesome, and peace out.